Hey, good morning. How y'all doing? It is Well Red Beard. It's a damn fine day to talk about a book, and today we are here for a book review, and we're going to talk about The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood. This is a reread for me. I just reread it, just did it in audio. I read it probably, I don't know, around, let's say around year 2000. I mean, it wasn't when it came out. It wasn't during the 90s. It was probably around 2000, probably shortly after I got married to the professor, the women and gender studies slash English professor. No, I'm kidding. But I mean, not really. But she turned me on to this book back then. I read it. I've done some Atwood, not a lot of Atwood. I've read this book twice now. I've read all three of the Oryx and Crake books. I've read maybe a couple short stories here and there, but that's about it. I mean, I knew the gist of this book, right? Like, I knew what the deal was. I think I saw maybe the first season of the show. I think I even saw the like the original movie that came out. I'm not exactly sure when, but so yeah, reread. I like this book. I think upon finishing it, I gave it 3 stars. I don't think that's fair. A lot of that had to do with the fact that it's a bit abstract for me. It's a bit hard to follow, and I didn't remember any of that. I did not remember that you had the issues with the way it's told in somewhat a stream of consciousness, and the fact that Offred is a bit of an unreliable narrator. I want to go into that first because the minute that I mentioned and I did not mention that the first time I read it. I mentioned that when I read it here just recently. I mentioned that. Why did my screen get dark? Anyway, I mentioned that she was a bit of an unreliable narrator, and my wife was like, "What? What do you mean? I mean that. I mean, what do you? Are you gas?" She actually mentioned the word gaslighting, I think. Anyway, but from AI because that's what we rely on nowadays. Reading a book about a dystopian, you know, uh, landscape. Let's go to AI. Why not? And it says, yes, Offred is an unreliable narrator in The Handmaid's Tale. Her narration is fragmented, shifts between past and present, and includes multiple versions of events. Offred's unreliability highlights the uncertainty and tension of the story. Explanation: Offred's narration is a trauma response to her oppressive environment. She creates her own self story to cope with the trauma. Alfred's narration is a mosaic of the past and present containing fragmented sections of memories. She openly said she's an unreliable narrator. Now, I don't remember that. I don't remember when she openly says that, but okay. She is conscious that her narrative is reconstructed. She is susceptible to propaganda and jealousy. Some readers may feel that Alfred's narration is unreliable, while others may see it as a reflection of the difficulties involved in reconstructing a traumatic experience. So there you go. The opinion, I guess, is out on that as to whether she's unreliable or not. But it's told in this weird, abstract, back and forth way that was, for me, on reread, and a bit hard to follow. I mean, so there you go. But I think I'm probably closer to 4 stars than three. Anyway, I said three when I immediately finished it and immediately added it to my Goodreads. So we'll see. But yeah, I mean it's a really really good book. I mean it's a really really good dystopian book. It's a really really good book considering what's going on with women's reproductive rights in our current climate with the what do you call it, revoking the whatever of Roe v. Wade. I mean, it's scary, is what it is. It's fucking scary. But let's get some synopsis, and I'll go a little bit more. But The Handmaid's Tale is not only a radical and brilliant departure from Margaret Atwood. It is a novel of such power that the reader will be unable to forget its images and its forecast. Yes. Set in the near future, it describes life in what was once the United States, now called the Republic of Gilead, a monotheocracy that has reacted to social unrest and a sharply declining birth rate by reverting to and going beyond the repressive intolerance of the original Puritans. The regime takes the book of Genesis absolutely at its word, with bizarre consequences for the women and men of its population. The story is told through the eyes of Offred, of Fred. You don't have a real name. Your name is of the man that you are serving. Of Fred, one of the unfortunate handmaids under the new social order, in condensed but eloquent prose, condensed, yes, by turns cool-eyed, tender, despairing, passionate, and wry, she reveals to us the dark corners behind the establishment's calm facade, as certain tendencies now in existence are carried to their logical conclusions. The Handmaid's Tale is funny, unexpected, horrifying, and altogether convincing. It is at once scathing satire, dire warning, and tour de force. It is Margaret Atwood at her best. So that didn't really give us a lot, but the gist is that someplace in our near future in America, um, women are their rights are just completely taken away. No access to their bank accounts shut down. No access to their money. Married couples are separated. Men put into service, women put into another type of service, which is to reproduce with these. I mean, in this case, the commander, but they're these high, or what do you call it, well off people, like these well off people that can't reproduce. They have handmaids, and it's all ritualistic and biblical based, and she has to every month when it's her time, she has to go through this ritualized sex with the man of the house while the woman sits like at the head of the bed holding her hands with her, almost like he's doing it with his wife, but he's not really. You see what I'm saying? And it's all about reproduction, and it's dark, and it a very very dynamic scene is this wall. It's supposed to be the wall outside of Harvard, and they're passes it on her way to go. I mean, the only time she can get out of the house is to go shop, and passes it on her way, and bodies of rebels are hanging on the wall, and it's a dark time for America. Shit. It's a dark time for women, but everyone. I mean, everyone that's not well off. I mean, yeah, the women get the brunt of it. The women probably get the worst deal here, but it's everybody, right? It's every. I mean, it's every husband that's his wife was taken away. It's everyone that's not well off enough to be at the top of things or whatever. And we live in a weird time now in America. I don't think I've hid my politics in the past. I don't really come here to talk about politics, but it's just a scary, scary forecast. So this is Margaret Atwood's The Handmaid's Tale. Yes, it's a bit abstract. Yes, the back and forth between past and present is odd. A bit. It's a bit hard to follow. Of Fred's narration is a bit hard to follow, but the story that it tells, if you kind of look at it, and I read a lot. I'll be honest with you, I read a lot of complimentary texts, a lot of people smarter than me talking about this book before I came here and talked to you. One thing that's cool, and I didn't remember this either, is like we end ambiguously. We do not know if of Fred. I mean, she's being taken away, but we don't know. We think that she's being taken away to safety, possibly by rebels, or she's being taken away by the police because of something that happens. So we end ambiguously, and at the end of this, we come to this like symposium, this conference, this where people are talking about this story from the year. I think the year is like 2195. It's in the future, and basically this book, the way it's told, it has been found on audio tapes in Bangor, Maine. It's been found, and it's like this historical representation of what happened, and what we now know is like this short-lived idea government of Gilead, of doing what they did with the women and all these things. It's over. Like, it's not that way anymore. And we're looking at it reflectively, and we've basically read this book. We basically listened to this audio story that was recorded by Fred somewhere after her, and we just don't know. We don't know what's happened to her. We don't even really know her real name. I talked to my wife about this. I think there's a lot of people who think that after looking at this and reflecting on it, there's only one person that her real name could be. I don't know. I didn't get that, but she's much smarter than I am. So, but yeah, we're looking at it reflectively, and this time of Gilead, this way of doing things has passed, and we're seeing it from audio tapes. Yeah. So, I don't know. It's freaky. It's a freaky story. It's you think it can never happen, and then you watch like subtle things happen around you, and you're like, oh shit. So yeah, this is What Redbeard. It's a damn good book. This is The Handmaid's Tale, Margaret Atwood. Hope you liked it. Hope you are enjoying all your books, all of them. And I didn't want to give much away there. I mean, I know there's a lot of details I could have talked about. I could have talked about, her relationship with the commander outside of the ritualized sex, how he comes to, bring her to his room and they play Scrabble, which is unallowed because women aren't allowed to read, which, he's, while even in this situation of this patriarchy or whatever you want to call it, he's still, I mean, he's supposed to be with Alfred only to reproduce, but he's, doing his own thing on the side because he has affection for her or whatever it is, but he's, just a shitty man. And that's, well, anyway, so I'll stop there. But there's a lot here. This is The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you're enjoying all your books, all of them, as much as I am. If not, you're reading the wrong damn books.